Saving America one entrepreneur at a time, it's the Biz Wrap Podcast with your host, Michael Manahan. The show that celebrates small business and entrepreneurs, it's Biz Wrap Radio with your host, small businessman, educator, and author, Michael Manahan. And welcome back to Biz Wrap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. Thank you so much for joining me today. Of course, Biz Wrap Radio is the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you. If you're a small business person, if you're an entrepreneur, if you're trying to run your business more effectively, make more money, battle all of the rules and regulations you have to put up with as a small business person, we're here to help you through that process. Now, today's show, we are going to focus on an event that I was at a few months back, and I really wish I'd played this show earlier because I've got some great interviews with people at an investment conference. This was the AR2 Capital Alternative Investment Conference held down in Newport Beach. Again, this was a couple of months ago, and I just have been so busy with my radio schedule that I haven't had a chance to get this great stuff on the air, but interviewed people who were presenting at the conference, people who were attending the conference. It was a really exciting and interesting event, and if you've never attended an investment conference, this is something you want to do. I mean, if you're trying to raise money, the people, the way this conference works is there's people who are trying to raise money for their investment strategies, if you will, and they are presenting to an audience of investors. And some of the investors are high net worth individuals. Some of the investors are small hedge funds, small investment funds. Some of them are, family money. But it's alternative investing. It's not the normal thing you would invest in. And so here it is. Let's start off with my first interview, which was with Austin King, who is one of the senior guys there at AR2 Capital. And here's my interview with Austin. And it's your host, Biz Wrap Radio, Michael Manahan speaking, and we are down here at the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference at the Balboa Bay Club in Newport Beach, right here on the waterline. This is an absolutely beautiful facility today, and we've been listening to some very interesting speakers talking about different things that you can invest in, and I've got with me one of the organizers of the event. It's Austin King of AR2 Capital. He's a senior vice president. Austin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.
Now, this is a really interesting event here. Now, tell for the listening audience, what really is this event all about? What is it designed to do?
Well, I'm glad you asked that question. First off, these events bring together qualified alternative investment managers to present in a forum with their peers to qualified investors. So what we do is we take the due diligence process and we source the investment managers, and we also source the investors and bring them together, and it's a really harmonious type of event that's really low pressure, and it's got a lot of great feedback.
So who would be the typical, let's say the typical person attending your event? Is it a high net worth individual, somebody, I guess just somebody who's looking for something different to invest in?
Yeah, absolutely. We have, we serve family offices, we have institutions, high net worth individuals, capital markets professionals, pretty much you name it. If you have an interest in alternative investments, we'll pretty much find you in Southern California.
Okay, now clarify for the audience, what does it mean an alternative investment? A lot of people out there probably invest in the stock market. They buy stocks, and maybe they buy a mutual fund or two. But what is an alternative investment?
Sure. Well, alternative investments are generally real estate, venture capital, hedge funds, and other kind of specialized strategies that are generally not available to the public, meaning, if you have to be most of the time an accredited investor to access some of these these opportunities, so you have to have a decent amount of net worth. But basically, it's not the Charles Schwab's, it's not the stocks and bonds. Generally, it's the other types of investments that are non-correlated to the market.
Gotcha. Now there was one. A number of the presenters today are very real estate focused. They're, if you would, one was a real estate fund that basically invested in a variety of different properties, commercial properties, residential properties. One of the groups was basically a fund that invested in parking lots, and I thought that was just amazingly interesting.
Yeah, I did it as well, and he made a good point. Have you ever been pissed off when you shell out, $18 for a few hours of parking? Well, let's get on the other side of that, right? So it sounds pretty good and appealing to most of us out there.
Yeah, exactly. I would imagine that the parking lot operators, just think of the infrastructure they need. A bunch of blacktop and maybe a little bit of a fence, and $20, $25, $30 for that little space of blacktop. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they're automating the lots as well. So like a gentleman was saying, you don't have to pay wages, you don't have stealing, you don't have a bunch of other problems that you get when you have to hire and fire employees over and over again. So,
and the nice thing about this is these are passive investments. Somebody else is doing the work. I've often thought about investing in some different things. And I remember I was thinking about buying a little mobile home park, and it had like 10 mobile homes on it. And then a friend of mine got involved in one, and they had this nightmare. They had tenants they couldn't get rid of. There was lawsuits. The city was after them. It was a disaster. But when you invest in these alternative investments, you're actually getting all of the headache associated with the investment is being done by somebody else.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes all the guesswork out of it. You got real professionals that are taking the reins and basically doing what it would be impossible to do without making it your full-time job. So, that's a big value to a lot of people out there.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get confused about that because they watch the television and they see that guy on there who advertises, come to my seminar and in 24 hours or whatever, or over a weekend I can turn you into a real estate guru and you can be flipping real estate and doing this and all the rest, or some other kind of investment. I heard one today actually driving over here. I come take my course and I can turn you instantaneously into a stock trader, a day trader. But it's not that easy. And the people who were presenting today, they were talking about having 15, 20 years of experience in the field that they're active in. So you're really getting that resource, somebody who knows what they're doing.
Yeah, the reality is you don't become a pro overnight. Most of these managers have upwards of 10 years at the minimum experience and go, all the way up to 30. So, that's the guys that you really want to put your money with, someone who you can trust, someone who's been there and done that before.
Now, how often do you run these conferences? Is this a regular thing? Is it just a new thing? What is your kind of strategy for conferences going forward?
Yeah, well, this is a relatively new thing with the more of the capital intro side. Myself, I've been doing events with my professional development association called Newport Beach Finance Events for a couple years now, and it's just kind of the natural progression into, as I become deeper into the investment industry, is to bring the high quality investors and the investment managers together, and just really seems like it's worked out well.
Now, Austin, let's just say our show's for small businesses and entrepreneurs, and a lot of those people are still struggling. They're in the position where they're desperate for money for their own businesses. They really don't have a lot to invest. But on the flip side, we do have listeners out there that have businesses and those businesses are generating some cash flow, and maybe they've got and as I'm always telling them, if you have a small business and it's generating some cash flow, you got to pull some money off the table. You got to get money out of the business because disasters happen. I've seen this happen. A lawsuit comes along and all of a sudden, boom, all the capital in your business is tied up. You can't get it out of there. So take some money off the table and invest it. If somebody would like to talk to you personally about perhaps how they should be investing some of their money, how could somebody get a hold of you?
Well, they can reach out to me through AR2 Capital at Austin at ar2capital.com or directly at 949-903-3498.
And what's the website? Can they go to the website and get the information as well?
AR2capital.com is our current website.
Okay, that's at AR2capital.com. That's AR2 capital.com. And that's Austin King from AR2 Capital down here at the Alternative Investment Conference, Balboa Bay Club, Newport Beach. And this is your host, Michael Manahan, Biz Rap Radio, and we will be back with more from the Alternative Investment Conference right after these messages. And welcome back to Biz Rap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. And today on the show, we are playing interviews that I did down at the Alternative Investment Conference. That was the AR2 Capital Alternative Investment Conference held down in Newport Beach, California. It was at the luxurious Balboa Bay Club right there in the heart of Newport Beach Harbor. Wonderful, wonderful venue. We just had a fabulous event. We had speakers. We had people from the investment community. There are a lot of interesting investment ideas that aren't kind of your mainstream stocks and bonds. And I was very lucky to be able to sit down with one of the senior guys at AR2 Capital, Austin King. We were playing his interview before the break, and now we will finish off with the rest of my interview with Austin King of AR2 Capital at the Alternative Investment Conference, Newport Beach, California. Themes might you look at in the future? Do you have other themes, or is it going to be more of the same alternative investing?
We're really focused on the alternative investment space. Today there was 3 real estate managers and 1 international debt arbitrage manager, also a preferred trust. So it just happened to focus on real estate, whereas some of the other events might focus on hedge funds or more of the venture capital strategies out there, or some of the other private equity stuff. So that's an area we can diversify.
A nice thing about an event like this is it's not just an opportunity for being sold on something, but it really is an opportunity to learn. I mean, I learned so much about things that I didn't really understand or have a good grasp of, and it's really great because a lot of times when people are investing, they call a stockbroker or something, and he makes a couple of recommendations, but you really don't understand the strategy of where you're putting your money. But here there's an opportunity to talk to the people who are actually investing that money on your behalf, who are making money for you, and listen to them, ask them questions, listen to how they plan to make that money for you, what strategies they're going to be employing. And I think that's a really unique opportunity.
Absolutely, Mike. The vast majority of public out there doesn't know what it's like to have a personalized investment manager in your corner. I mean, most people are out there just getting a couple tips here and there and say, hey, deal with it. Whereas, if you take some initiative and get connected with some of these guys that are going to be your investment advocate out there, then you can actually, take the reins and could actually translate into higher returns in the future.
That sounds fabulous, and that's what it's all about. Look at it. If you're looking for some good returns on your investment, you're looking to invest in perhaps some alternative investment opportunities, you want to check it out. It's AR2 Capital. Go to AR2capital.com. You can speak to Austin King. Austin, what's your phone number again?
949-903-3498.
And it's your host, Michael Manahan, Biz Rap Radio. We're down here at the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference, Balboa Bay Club, Newport Beach, right here on the ocean. A beautiful facility. Place, and if you haven't been down to the Balboa Bay Club, you've got to put that on your list. It's a great place to come down here in Newport Beach. You can go to the bar, have a drink, look out over the ocean. Austin, that's it. We're out of time for this segment, but thanks for joining me. And that was Austin King down here at the Alternative Investment Conference, Newport Beach, California, the wonderful Balboa Bay Club. We had a number of very interesting speakers, and I caught up with one of them. His name is James Perry. He is the CEO of Alliance Portfolio. Very interesting investment opportunity where you can earn 7-8% on your money through actually secured real estate investments. And here is my interview with James Perry, Alliance Portfolio. And it's Biz Rap Radio, your host, Michael Manahan. We are down here at the Balboa Bay Club in Newport Beach, right here on the water. It's a beautiful evening. We've had an afternoon of presentations at the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference. I've been doing some interviews with some of the presenters. Very, very interesting information. I'll tell you, if you've got a little bit of capital and you're looking for a place to put it, you've got to check some of this stuff out. You know, there's a lot more you can do with your money than just calling up your local stockbroker and buying, I don't know, some stock in Google or Microsoft. There really are investment opportunities out there you should be looking at, and AR Capital is bringing some of those to us today. I've got sitting here with me, it's James Perry. He's the CEO of Alliance Portfolio. James, thanks for spending a couple of minutes with me.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Now tell me, what is Alliance Portfolio?
Alliance Portfolio is a boutique private money mortgage banking company whereby we originate, fund, sell, and service private money trust deed investments.
So, you know, that sounds really interesting, but I bet there's a whole host of people out there who are listening and say, well, what does all that really mean? So can you be a little bit more maybe, how should I say it? Can you just, like, what you basically do is you make loans on properties? Yeah,
we do what banks do. I mean, we take investor capital into our fund, and then we loan that money that is secured by real estate to borrowers, and those loans or mortgages or trust deed investments provide interest on the money that we loan, and that interest then is distributed to investors through cash flow or growth.
So this is, you say this is kind of like what banks do, except instead of the banks using all the capital the bank has, you're actually using the capital that your investors are putting up.
Correct, and their return is not what they get on a CD, but rather in the 7.5% to 8.5% net returns to our investors.
Right, because when we put money into the CD, we get a quarter of or 0.5%, whatever, but then the bank turns around and loans that to somebody else at 7 or 8 or 10%,
exactly,
or more, and they're making the difference, the arbitrage on that. But
sure.
this way, I could actually put my money with you. And then you would loan it out and collect the interest and pay the interest back to me.
Right, and except our spread is usually about a 1% spread, mm-hmm. and so the borrower is paying 8 and 9%, and the net return to investors is 7 to 8%.
So somebody is sitting there, I don't know, maybe they got an extra $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 in cash. A lot of small business people listen to our show, and I'm always urging small business people. I know in the early stages, sometimes it's tough to take money out of your business, but when you can, you got to take that money off the table, get it out of the business. You can't leave it all in there. Disaster strikes, your capital's all gone. Get the money out of the business, put it somewhere else, and but on the other hand, the small business people that listen to the show, they're busy. They got businesses. They can't afford an investment strategy that's too high maintenance. They need somebody else to do the legwork, if you will.
Sure. This is very passive. I mean, investors can park their money and get interest returns every month or every quarter.
And how are you able to get? I mean, those just sound like really good rates of return. So if you're lending the money out at 9%, who's paying 9%? Are there people that actually pay 9% on a mortgage?
Oh, absolutely. Generally, people borrow private money. The number one reason is timing. They have to have the money today. We are in a very strict institutional lending season right now. So getting a loan, you can talk to a lot of borrowers and ask them about their process of getting a loan, and it's very, very difficult. And a lot of times the best deals go by quickly. So they'll bridge that gap with private money, and they'll acquire the property, and then they'll ultimately refinance down the road. We do not make loans to people that don't have income or have bad credit. I mean, these are qualified borrowers that just have a situation or a timing instance that they need to cover.
Well, and I can appreciate that because I after going through a divorce and putting my kids through college and all the rest of the stuff, I decided that I was going to buy a house about 2 years ago. I provided the bank with over 600 pages of documentation. Because I'm an entrepreneur, I do a radio show, I teach college. At the time, was part-time teaching college. I own a couple businesses. They drove me crazy. And everything I sent them, they had more questions. So every document I gave them, it was, well, we need 3 more documents. At the end of the day, I got the loan, but if I had an opportunity where I need to close quickly or move quickly, it just would have been impossible.
Yeah, you would have lost out on the opportunity.
Right. So you've got people out there, they've got cash flow, or probably they're a little bit entrepreneurial themselves. An opportunity comes along, they want to move quickly, and you're able to fund that for them.
Yes.
And they'll pay a higher rate of interest for a period of time, but as perhaps the real estate value goes up, or they have additional cash come in, or they get something else happens, they'll perhaps take that financing out down the road with a lower priced financing.
Sure. Or we finance a lot of borrowers who are purchasing properties, improving them, and selling them at a profit, and so the cost of the private money financing is just a cost of business. They're making, if they're buying a property, say for $350,000, $400,000, they put $50,000 into it, put it back on the market for $550,000 or $6,000. There's some good upside in a 90-day to 6-month window. So the cost of our funds is really offset relatively easy.
Okay, we're going to have to continue with James Perry right after we take a commercial break. It's BizRap Radio. Mike Manahan, your host. We will be back for more at the AR2 Capital Conference, Newport Beach, California. And welcome back to BizRap Radio. It's your host, Michael Manahan. We are, of course, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you as a small business person, whether it's running your business more effectively, making more money, perhaps even raising capital for your business. And we've been playing today on the show interviews that I did at the AR2 Capital Conference down in Newport Beach, California. This was an alternative investment conference put on by AR2 Capital at the Balboa Bay Club. Very, very interesting event, and just had some fascinating speakers. And before we went to the break, we were talking with James Perry. James Perry, the CEO of Alliance Portfolio, and we'll continue with our interview with James Perry right now. I got you. So that's really interesting. Okay, now if somebody's interested who's listening and says, hey, maybe that's something I could check out, how could they get more information?
Well, there's a couple things. You can call our office directly at 949-349-1322, or you can go to our website at allianceportfolio.com and navigate your way through there and answer pretty much any question you have with regard to the type of business that we offer.
Now, imagine to do what you do. I mean, this isn't something somebody could just say tomorrow, hey, I'm going to get into this mortgage business and maybe collect some capital and start lending it out. How many years of experience do you have in doing what you do?
I've been at this for 25 years. I've been through 2 major real estate recessions and have survived both of them very well. It seems a lot easier than it is. It takes a lot of overhead. It's a highly regulated industry, and software and management services and that type of thing, and employees are not cheap to get the best ones.
Mm-hmm. Well, you've got a whole organization. Now, are you able to tell us about how much money do you have at work in your under your auspices?
Yeah, it's 60, 70 million.
Okay, so you've got quite a big organization. You've got quite a portfolio there. But,
yes,
of course, you can always use more, right?
Oh, yeah, it's always growing.
Yeah,
always growing.
Yeah, and one of the things that I like about, if somebody was to put money with you, if you go put money with some billion-dollar fund, your opportunity to talk to the person who's any of the people in that organization who are investing the money, managing the money, you just can't do it. You're going to be dealing with some salesman, right?
Sure.
But here, if somebody was, wanted to put in $50,000 or $100,000, they could speak to you directly.
Absolutely. We are, as I mentioned in my presentation, we're very much in the relationship business, and we coddle our clients. We use a strategy of preeminence, whereby we put our clients above ourselves, and we are very, very transparent, very, very responsive, and always available. And we provide service is just something that we really, really enjoy doing, and we love the relationships, really.
Now, I also, and I can believe that because you seem like a really nice guy, by the way. I also understand that if somebody has money that's perhaps sitting in like an IRA or a 401k, that they could use those funds as well to invest in your
Yes.
fund?
Absolutely, and the benefit also that the fund provides is it mitigates risk because it owns a bunch of different trust deeds, and it also provides the opportunity for growth or compounding that interest. So if you have deferred tax accounts like an IRA, then you can invest and compound it 7.5%, 8%, and it'll grow very rapidly.
Well, that's just amazing. And I again, you're talking 7% returns,
7-8%, yeah.
Which is I mean,
on a well-secured investment.
Yeah, on a very well, right? Because I'm thinking, people say, well, the stock market's done really well. Yeah, but that stock market stuff can disappear instantaneously.
Sure,
as we've seen it happen.
Another thing is that what we do is offers the unique combination of a secured investment with a high return. So all of our investments are secured by Orange County and coastal Los Angeles and San Diego County real estate. So there is a very nice piece of real estate that is the security for each one of our investments. There is collateral in great neighborhoods.
So that really, really, really mitigates the risk on this type of investment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a real live asset there. It's not just vapor. There's a real piece of real estate there.
That's great. Okay, James, we're just about out of time. Once again, how can people get a hold of you?
Contact Alliance Portfolio at 949-349-1322 or go to our website at www.allianceportfolio.com.
Okay, that's great. James, thank you so much. Here we are down at the Balboa Bay Club. It is the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference, opportunity for people to learn about different things they can do with their money to make money. I'm your host, Mike Manahan. This, of course, is BizRap Radio. And that was James Perry, Alliance Portfolio. Interesting stuff. A great way to earn a excellent return on your investment if you've got some money sitting around you want to put into secured real estate. Now, one of the things I really like about going to these conferences is the interesting people that you run into and that you meet. And, of course, over the years, attending many, many financial conferences and just doing business in California and around the United States, I've met so many interesting and fascinating people. And I bumped into a gentleman at the Alternative Investment Conference, Dr. George Morris, just a true gentleman, fabulous person to talk to and to do business with. And I was lucky to get him to sit down with us and spend a few minutes talking. So here is my interview with Dr. George Morris. And it's your host, Michael Manahan of BizRap Radio. I'm down here at the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference, Balboa Bay Club, Newport Beach, California. And what an event this has been. We've had these presenters talking about alternative investment strategies, things you can invest in. Not the stock market. It's not your run-of-the-mill mutual funds. But these are funds that seek out very specialized investments. Often they're securitized by real estate. We had one gentleman, they strictly purchase and manage parking lots, and that was really interesting. We had another gentleman, they're basically a mortgage company, but they lend to a very specific type of customer, typically in the beach properties, Newport Beach, Redondo Beach, Hermosa Beach, up and down the coast. Very unique kind of subset of mortgage lending. And by the way, the returns they're getting for their customers, can you believe this? Invest $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 into one of these companies, you're getting a 7-8% return on your money, which is extremely good when you consider that if you put that money in the bank, you're getting next to nothing from the bankers. And of course, these investments are backed up by assets, so that's even better. But I've been wandering around here, meeting people at the conference, run into a lot of very interesting folks, and I bumped into an old friend of mine, fellow I've known for an awful long time. It's Dr. George Morris, American Business Development Company. George, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, Mike. It's been a long time, and it's good to see you again.
Yeah, it's always good to see you. Now, tell me, what is the American Business Development Company all about?
Well, even though as you mentioned earlier, real estate's the big subject here, and I'm really interested in real estate, there's a lot of other alternative businesses that people get into or want to get into or want to build their life around, etc. So back when, like 40, 50 years ago, Congress said at one point that the government really ought to encourage people, as they are now. If they can't find a job, maybe they should get into a business. And the American Business Development Company Association follows that pattern. Congress said what we should do is help them get money, which is really what this is all about, this meeting, and then help them get substantial managerial advice to succeed. And we're working, particularly with veterans nowadays. We're really excited about helping veterans to start their own businesses, to get going, and to succeed. And they need both knowledge and they need capital. So the ABDCA, that's what it's about, helping businesses to get started, to grow and go. If you really got a winner, you may go all the way to becoming a public company and making that dream life that you've always wanted. And if you don't get that far, still a good life.
That sounds fabulous. I was reading some statistics, and I'm gonna quote these. I might be a little bit off, but the government took about $50 billion to bail out General Motors, and for every job they saved, it cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $450,000 for every job at General Motors. Now, can you imagine if instead we took $50 billion and gave every vet coming back from Iraq or Afghanistan $450,000 to start a business?
It's funny you should mention that amount. I ran across a fellow, and he's an accountant of all things, and he had inherited a carpet cleaning business, which he didn't want. But he was a member of the Legion, so we got to talking about it and said, well, if we could train a veteran on being in the carpet cleaning business, and it would be considerably under the $500,000 mark, this fellow could have a career for life and do it well and do it successfully.
Yeah.
So you're absolutely correct.
And we'll interrupt George right there because we're going to have to go to a commercial break. It's your host, Mike Manahan, BizRap Radio. I'm playing you today interviews that I did down at the AR2 Alternative Investment Conference down in Newport Beach, California. Hey, if you ever have a chance to go to one of these investment conferences, they are so much fun, and you learn so much, and you meet so many interesting people. Highly encourage you to do so. But we got to go to commercial break. It's Mike Manahan, BizRap Radio, and we will be back with more from George Morris right after these messages. And welcome back to BizRap Radio. I am your host, Michael Manahan. Thanks so much for joining us, and thanks for sticking with us if you've been listening to the show so far today. Of course, BizRap Radio, the show all about small business and entrepreneurs. We're here to help you as a small businessman, as an entrepreneur. We're here to help you run your business, make money, maybe raise money. But today, the show is focusing on the AR2 Capital Conference. It was an alternative investment conference held down in Newport Beach, California, a few months back. I was lucky enough to get an invitation to attend, and while I was down there, I ran into some very, very interesting people. Had the opportunity to interview earlier in the show one of the executives at AR2 Capital. Then we talked to James Perry of Alliance Portfolio. He was there trying to raise money. And then finally, we were right in the middle of an interview with George Morris of the American Business Development Company. And George, very interesting guy, got some great ideas. So here is more of my conversation with Dr. George Morris. And by the way, when you think carpet cleaning, you think, there might be some people that say, I don't want to clean carpets for a living. But I'll tell you something. A friend of mine up in Seattle, I'm not going to mention his name, but started out with a little small janitorial business. He ended up one of those companies that has the contracts to clean those office towers.
Yes, sir.
He's got like 500 friggin' employees.
Oh, yeah.
Making. He lives in a house. He's got 10 acres, an 8,000 square foot house from running a janitorial business.
That's the American way, and if you do it right, you can go all the way,
Absolutely.
irrespective of it. And I'm really excited about it. And there's just all kinds of businesses. One of the things that we're talking about here today, parking lots, and coming at it in really a more advanced way. This is a successful business already, but there are a lot of entrepreneurs running parking lots or can develop parking lots. One of our areas, we really enjoy the opportunity in mobile homes. For mobile home parks is really what I should say, like for seniors and for veterans. Mm-hmm. And we see a tremendous opportunity, and there are a lot of, think about it. Would you rather hire a man or woman who's come back from the military, who's gone through disciplinary training, military training, did a job and whatever, than a guy just standing on the corner who hasn't figured out his life yet or has no idea of how to behave and operate and be disciplined. That's a key thing. The veterans are a tremendous resource in this country.
You know what would be a great thing, and I hate to sometimes bring politics into it, but this is a little political because George, I also teach university. I teach college. I teach at Cal State University, Dominguez Hills. Big shout out for the Toros. I teach finance and accounting, but gosh, if we could take every person who comes out of high school and say, you either have to A, go into the military, or B, serve in some organization that services people overseas or even here in the United States, and you have to do that for 2 years.
Yes.
To learn responsibility, to learn discipline, to learn giving, to learn carrying your own weight.
Yes.
If we could do that, I think we'd have a much better society.
I do too, and as well as providing a real opportunity in this terms of better society to a lot of people.
So, George, tell me about this American Business Development Company. What should people who are maybe have a business, should they contact you?
Absolutely. If they'll contact me, I'm willing to help them in any way that we can to point them in the right direction, tell them how to get the right resources, and in many other ways, say if you have something that is really proving itself already. It has a bit of a track record. Mm-hmm. You might be able to go all the way to becoming a public company, but certainly to be growing, to expanding, creating jobs.
So how can somebody get a hold of you, George?
Well, you can use a phone number.
949-444-9090. It's
very good, Michael.
George Morris, 949-444-9090, American Business Development Company. And so really what, George, what you do is you're helping new businesses, entrepreneurial businesses, and kind of giving them some guidance and getting them started.
Yeah, we're starting, in fact, about a week and a half from now, we're going to have a first group of veterans in. It's sort of a research type of situation saying, how can we help you? We know the government has helped, the VA has helped, or at least allegedly they have helped, and no one seems to get it. But we want to help these people to go forward and to sit down and say, okay, what's the best way to help you to figure out what you want to do, how to get your hands on the assets or the resources, and start, and then get the guidance you need so you don't end up, making the wrong turn. And it's a fairly simple process. I, like you, have been a professor for a lot of years. I was at Cal State Dominguez, too, for 20 years, and teaching finance and marketing and et cetera. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And then I came out and decided to do some other things in real estate, which I do now, and as well as the BDC, the Business Development Company. But it was interesting to see your reaction when I first told you about it a few moments ago, or actually a few minutes ago. It was so positive about helping veterans.
Yeah, I think that's just something absolutely we should be doing. We should be doing as business people. And you know what I like about it, too? I like about it the fact that it's business people helping veterans without some government mandate or government interference. It seems today, people turn around and say, oh, we should do something for veterans. So what's the government doing? Forget about what's the government doing. I mean, I remember, I don't remember it. I was only maybe 7 years old. But what did Kennedy say? He said, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
Yes, sir.
And we've seemed to turn into these people. It's all about, well, what is the government going to do for me? No, what are you going to do for society? What are you going to do as an individual to help the people around you? And who better to help than the veterans?
Yeah, and one last thing, I had a great suggestion just in the past few weeks starting into this effort. And what it was that, why don't you take whatever donations you get and give them action to employers to help them defer the cost of training a young veteran, training them for their career and their job, and to give them an additional incentive. And I think it's really a wonderful idea, so that we've got someone now who's willing, an employer with a business, who's willing to train an employee or a technical person or whatever it's going to be into a position. And I think it's a marvelous idea, and we're going to work on that. But along with the other thing is to have veterans interact. I belong to the American Legion in Newport Beach. And it's a very large post, and there are a lot of people there that really looking for opportunities. I remember a young man I met. He was in Iraq, and he drove an armored carrier or whatever, and he was when he got back, he slept for the longest time with a rifle under his bed.
Wow.
This is the type of toll that it takes.
Mm-hmm.
He has finally found a new position, and it's a good thing, and he's finding himself, and a lot of them need that sort of help.
Okay, so once again, it's American Business Development Company, Dr. George Morris, 949-444-9090. George, you have something else to say?
Give him the email address, too.
Okay, email address is georgemorris@earthlink.net. That's georgemorris@earthlink.net. And that's it, Dr. George Morris from the Alternative Investment Conference, the AR2 Capital Conference down in Newport Beach, California. And, I've got some other interviews I did down there, but the show is only so long. I can only play so many, so I've pretty much run out of time for any more interviews. We'll perhaps catch some of those interviews on future shows, and I look forward to attending more of these exciting and interesting conferences in the future. And I encourage you to do so as well. I know as entrepreneurs and business people, it's sometimes difficult to get away, but conferences, I really truly believe, are a great opportunity to get out there, mix and mingle, meet other business people, meet people who are excited about business, who are doing things in business, funding sources, strategic alliances, people who can potentially help you in your own business. I'm certainly planning on doing a lot more of those conferences and events like that in the coming months and years, and hopefully I can bring you some more great interviews directly from those events. They really are fun. And of course, it's also nice to get out and just socialize with people. Have a cocktail, a few appetizers, rub elbows, get to meet other people. You never know when you meet somebody who is going to be instrumental in helping you with your business, and really that's what it's all about. It takes people. You can't do it all by yourself. That's a lesson I learned a long time ago. Anyways, I am your host, Michael Manahan. We are running out of time here at BizRap Radio, but want to leave you with one final message. Here at BizRap Radio, we believe we can fix the United States of America through a fundamental concept that individuals pursuing their own economic interests in free markets will create more prosperity for more people than could ever be achieved through government regulation and a planned economy. That's it for this week, BizRap Radio. We'll be back again next week. Thanks so much for listening.